Irishman is finally here and is, of course, one of the most anticipated movies of the year and possibly in most recent years. This movie is directed by Martin Scorsese and it is about Jimmy Hoffa and the mob. I won't go into it too much and about the Jimmy Hoffa story because I went in kind of blind. I've heard of Jimmy Hoffa. I didn't know the full story of it, so I wanted to go in this movie not knowing anything at all, and I'm really glad I did. Now, this movie comes out on Netflix in about a week, I believe, but I was able to see an early screening of it about 50 minutes away from me, and man, was it worth it. This movie is awesome. I think a lot of people are really going to like this movie a lot. How can you not get excited for a movie like this? I mean, seriously, it's a Martin Scorsese movie with Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci. I mean, that is a dream team. That's unfair. That's like making a 3-on-3 team and putting Bron, Jordan, and Shaq on the team and have Phil Jackson as the coach. This is a perfect team. The people working behind the camera and the people working in front of the camera work together perfectly. I first want to talk about the performances in this movie. Robert De Niro is basically the main character in this movie. He is the Irishman. I thought he was great in this movie. Definitely one of the best performances of his career. He plays this mob guy that is doing pretty horrific shit, and you can kind of tell as years go on that horrific shit that he does is starting to eat away at him. He's starting to feel more regret. Al Pacino plays Jimmy Hoffa, and honestly, he steals almost every scene he's in. He is loud, he's funny, and you can just tell that Al Pacino's just having a lot of fun with this role. And I'm very surprised that this is the first time Martin Scorsese and Al Pacino have worked on a movie together. Seriously, that is so surprising. I would just assume they're on at least one movie together, but this is their first one. But Al Pacino killed it. This character's very cocky and arrogant and very full of himself, very loud, and Al Pacino plays him perfectly and has so much fun doing it. But I was so excited to see Joe Pesci in a Martin Scorsese movie about the mob. Like, what is this? This is Christmas? Like, come on. That is, how can you not get excited about that? He hasn't been in a movie in so long. And when's the last time he's been in a Scorsese movie? I mean, it's probably been a while. I think he's basically retired at this point. So the fact they got him for this movie is awesome. I'm so happy he basically came out of retirement to play this mob boss. He was so good in this movie. He plays this nice guy. He's very nice. He has a lot of connections. People seem to really like him. But at the same time, people are scared of him because you could just tell he could kill you at any moment or kill your whole family at any moment. And he just wouldn't care. He wouldn't bat an eye. He has no remorse for it, which makes him even more scary. It also makes the character more interesting too. And Joe Pesci plays him so well. Now I gotta talk about the direction of this movie. I mean, Martin Scorsese is now, even before this movie, one of the greatest filmmakers ever. A lot of scenes in this movie, not much really happens. A lot of it is just characters talking. Yes, there is Scorsese violence in some scenes, and there's explosions, and there's other things. But a lot of this movie is just getting deeper into what characters are thinking, how they feel about things. I think with most other directors, that could come off as very boring and not very engaging. But because Martin Scorsese is so good at what he does, every scene is very investing. You're invested in the characters and what's going on, even though there might not be much going on. That's why he's a master at what he does. The way this movie is directed, written, and edited is masterful because you are still invested and engaged throughout the whole movie. Now, this movie will be compared to Goodfellas a lot. I mean, this movie does feel a lot like Goodfellas. It's the closest movie I think we've gotten in a while that gives off the Goodfellas vibe. This is a very different movie compared to Goodfellas. Goodfellas is faster paced, I would say, just because Goodfellas shows us like the glamour of mob life, showing how they have all the women, the cars, the money they could ever ask for, and they can go take more if they really wanted to. With Irishman, you still see some of the glamours of mob life, and it is a lot about the mob. It's a more personal movie. It goes deeper into what the characters are thinking and how they feel about things. So a lot of those scenes are very one-on-one, and some of the scenes might drag for some people just because of that. This movie also asks for your full attention. I feel like if you aren't fully invested in this movie, which I feel like is going to be hard not to be, you are going to get lost and you won't be able to really understand what's going on in maybe the next scene. A lot happens in this movie. This movie is 3.5 hours long. I will say it does not feel that long of a runtime, but it still feels like a long movie. Now, this would I'd say is my only gripe about the movie. I think this movie is virtually flawless, but I feel like they could have shaved maybe 10, 15 minutes off the last act of the movie. I understand what Scorsese is showing us and closing up character arcs and showing us where they are now, basically, because this is a true story. I feel like some of those scenes could have been shortened and they maybe drag a little bit. And there's a lot of scenes that kind of drag in this movie. The thing is, I don't think Scorsese really cares, because this is a type of movie where you need your scenes to last a little bit longer, so you really feel the full effect of what Scorsese's trying to show, because a lot happens in this movie. It's 3.5 hours, but it doesn't feel like a 3.5 hour movie. It feels shorter than that, but there is so much crammed in this movie that, like I said, if you don't pay attention for like maybe 2 minutes, you're going to be lost, which is my one concern about it being released straight to Netflix. I'm all for Netflix having movies. Like, I thought having El Camino on there was a great idea. This is the type of movie where you really need to stay engaged and invested to get the full effect and appreciate what Scorsese's made. Not saying you won't be invested if you watch this at home, but I just feel like you can get easily distracted compared to watching it in a movie theater. I mean, Scorsese. I feel like a Scorsese movie you should go see in theaters, but that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm a little bit more old-fashioned. But in the end, though, The Irishman is one of Scorsese's best films. The performances are flawless, the direction's flawless, the editing's flawless, and the writing's flawless. My only gripe is I wish the last act of the movie was a little bit shorter, but overall, it doesn't really affect much in this movie. I think if you're a Scorsese fan, you're going to love this movie a lot, especially if you're a fan of Goodfellas. I'm going to give The Irishman a 10 out of 10.
It's over! It's over!
So, The Irishman is coming out next week. Let me know what you guys think of this movie when it does come out on Netflix. And if you are going to see it at an earlier screening, please let me know what you guys think about it too. I'm curious to hear what you guys say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and click here to see more of Davey Dave's Takes.